Many of you have asked me to share my all-natural skincare routine. It is not fancy. It is definitely not sponsored, and it might surprise you how simple it is. If you're new here, my name's Loanne. I'm a licensed esthetician, and I have transitioned over to all-natural skincare routine completely. I've made several videos where I've infused some oils, made some of my own natural skincare. Many of you have watched and asked, what is my skincare routine? Well, here it is. And I'm actually going to start with my nighttime routine because what I do in my nighttime routine gives me results in the morning that has actually changed how I do my morning routine, and it might surprise you. I tried to film this in the bathroom. It wasn't working, and I think I could give you a better video if I just show you in here. Yes, I'm washing my face with oil. I know that might sound a little strange to wash your face with oil, but I'll break all that down, why and what oils I use here in just a minute. So since I'm wearing makeup, I'm going to distribute the oil all over my face, and then I'm going to apply the oil to the eyelids and the lashes and get that covered really good. And while that oil works on loosening and breaking up the eye makeup, I'm going to massage the oil all over the rest of my face. Not only is it going to break up the makeup, it's going to break up the oil that holds the old dead skin cells together. So that'll loosen that up. Then I'm going to get a warm washcloth. We'll hold that warm washcloth over the face, and it feels so good. And then we're going to remove all of the oil and the makeup. And if I hadn't been wearing makeup, I would have stopped right here and just oil cleansed once. But since I had the makeup on, I'm going to do a second oil cleanse and just make sure we've got everything good and clean. Now, before the next step, let's go talk about oil cleansing. I want to recommend starting with jojoba oil as your base for oil cleansing. We can talk about mixing oils in another video, but for now, jojoba is the most balanced, skin-friendly place to start. I do not recommend avocado, olive, or coconut oil unless you know they are an exceptionally high-quality source. Your store-bought versions just don't have the quality that I would trust on my face. Everything we've been taught over the years is we cleanse and we tone and we strip all that oil off. Well, then our body is trying to play catch up and reproduce all that oil we've just stripped off. When I was looking for a natural cleanser, I couldn't find anything. And the ones that were out there were really expensive. And the way my track record had been, I didn't want to risk spending a lot of money on something because I tried all kinds of things and I was reacting to everything. I would either be splotchy, red for about 2 hours. I would feel kind of dry. I would get a little flaky. I tried tallow soap. I tried goat's milk soap. I tried Castile soap. I tried Castile and honey. That was better. And then at my wit's end, I just went to straight honey. And the honey helped. My skin calmed down. However, it just wasn't quite cutting it. So then I started adding a little bit of jojoba oil to the honey, and that was nice. I liked that a lot. And then I gradually just got to where I used the oil. But once I started doing that, my skin drastically changed. So back to the nighttime routine. After cleansing, the next step I like to do is I mist my face with a rose water and glycerin spray. I have a whole video on how I make this. Then I seal all that up with some really good oils. Right now I'm using castor oil, raspberry seed oil, and a little frankincense oil. These are the oils I use at this point in my routine, but remember, we're just starting out, and I recommend that you start with just the castor oil. Do the castor oil for about a week. Make sure you like it. Make sure your skin likes it. And then you could add, say, maybe the frankincense oil. And then try that for a week. Make sure your skin's liking it. And then you can add a different oil. If you can't do the frankincense oil, the raspberry seed oil is really nice, and it is good for most skin types. So that would be a good one to start with as well. So remember, you're new to these oils. We're going to start simple. Castor oil on its own. You can customize later as your skin gets adjusted to the oils. And that's it. Super simple. Just took a few minutes, and it is so worth it. I have a video, I'll link at the end. It's about hyaluronic acid, but it explains why I'm not using hyaluronic acid and why I'm using the glycerin and rose water. So check that out. In that video, I was using water and I wasn't clear on how to mix. Now I do 1 part glycerin to 3 parts rose water. You could use distilled water too, but the rose water just is really nice. And I try to always use organic. I am loving, loving, loving the frankincense oil, so you'll have to check out that video. When I'm in the shower and I have to wash my hair, one thing to consider, when you're shampooing and conditioning your hair and you're rinsing that off, all that's running on your face. What I do is I do the oil first, then I feel like I have a protective barrier over my face. Then I shampoo, condition, and do all the things. Then I'll rinse that off, and then I'll do another light oil cleanse. And that way I feel like I've gotten off any of that junk that was meant for my hair, and it's not hanging out on my face. First thing in the morning, my skin feels amazing. It's soft, it feels firm, and all that's from my nighttime routine. I don't want to wash it off, and I don't want to disrupt my skin barrier. So I just take a warm washcloth, I press it lightly over my face, clean around my eyes and mouth, just freshen up a bit, and that's all I need. Glycerin and rose water. And just like we did in the nighttime routine, we're going to use our oils. Again, start simple. What I'm using here is the raspberry seed oil. This is the frankincense oil we just made. Get a little on your fingertips. Spread it around evenly. And that's it. I usually do a few things before I start putting on any makeup, but that's it. Now I'll go get my makeup on, come back and talk to you. There are all kinds of oils that you can use, yes, but I highly recommend you start with one. It's not just to make sure you don't have an allergic reaction. However, that's important. If you go using 2, 3 different things all at once that are new to you, if you have a reaction, you don't know who the problem is. And not only that, our skin has been bombarded with all kinds of different chemicals and ingredients. And part of this process is keeping it super simple. It gives your skin time to heal, adjust. Very important when you're choosing your oils, look for organic, cold pressed, and packaged in glass. And if you're using castor oil, make sure it is hexane free. I like the raspberry seed oil in the day. Again, there's a whole lot of other things we can try. If you use a full face of makeup and you've used an oil like the raspberry seed oil, give it a minute, let it settle in. Try this on a day when you don't have to go to work. If your makeup isn't working well with it, then for now, use for your morning routine what works for you, and we'll talk makeup another day. Now, I know you're wondering, do I use retinol? Do I use alpha hydroxy acids? I don't use hyaluronic acid. I've already told you that. Do I use collagen? No. I've completely cut those things out, and I don't miss them at all. And over time, I will be adding some things that are good, clean alternatives that do the same thing as these products do. I'm interested in building a good base first. I know, retinol is a hard one for people to give up. I'm not telling you what to do. You're grown. Use your retinol if you want to. No judgment. I mean, I still color my hair. It's important to me. You do you. I do exfoliate. I exfoliate 2 to 4 times a week. My skin kind of tells me when I need it. And the way I do that is dry brushing. And if you saw the frankincense video and the scrub that we ended up with from that, I'm liking the scrub. And I do not recommend mini scrubs at all on the face. But that's for another conversation. Remember, being gentle, protecting that skin barrier has been a huge game changer. I also do lymphatic drainage massage several times a week. That helps with puffiness, bags under the eyes. I do it as needed, and I do it in the shower. I do it while I'm putting on my oil. It's not super time consuming, does not have to be super complicated. that is for another video. I know I've said that's a conversation for another day a lot, but it is. And if that's something you're interested in, and lymphatic drainage, all the things, hit the like and subscribe button and the little notification bell. That way I put those videos out, it'll let you know and you won't miss them. I am trying new products and I'm trying new things, but the simplicity of this routine has given me time to really get to know my skin, to let my skin heal. I've also made some diet changes that I believe have made a huge difference. For me, everything shows in my face first. If I'm not feeling well, it shows in my face. If I've eaten a bunch of junk, it shows in my face, especially under the eyes. It's just cool to be able to notice these changes, and with a few little tweaks, a little lymphatic massage, and it gets back to normal pretty quick. I'll link all the products that I used in the description. I'll link that video for the glycerin and rose water in the description. And if you haven't seen that frankincense video, click right here and it'll take you right to it. And if you have seen it, this one you might like too. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. My name's Loanna, and this is a Little Bit of Homestead.